Chapter 5 Living Fires. Living fires only spawn when an explosive barrel rolls past the oil drum. These guys move chaotically, picking a random time to change their direction. They don't fall off edges, and they can only climb if the player is above or below them. They get faster every 33 seconds, and will eventually become faster than the player. They can be squished by the hammer, but only if you can catch them, as they attempt to run while you have it. Before we can code the living fire's spawning and behavior, we're going to need to create the fire object and make it a prefab. So we'll begin by creating the prefab. We need to change what the climbing layer won't and will interact with in the layer collision matrix. Attach an animation controller component to your new object and set it the following animations. Now make your object a prefab and remove the original instance from the inside of the hierarchy. Now that we've set up the fire prefab, our next step is to write its script. Create a new script and name it Living Fire. Start by adding our first set of variables. The first function we will add is the public initializer, just like we did with the barrels, only this time the fire has much less parameters. Now we can add the first behavior for our fires, the wander behavior. Let's take the opportunity to add the rest of the variables we're going to need. Now our fires need a check to be able to see whether or not they should climb a ladder. Once a fire has decided to climb, it changes to the climb behavior. When the player picks up a hammer, we switch to the runaway behavior. Here in the onCollision function, we're going to make sure we're obtaining a reference to both the platform we're touching and the platform beneath us, so that we can check them for ladders when we want to climb. We have reference to the rung we're touching, and the one below us, but having reference to them does not tell us anything about where they are on screen. For this, we need to find its index position. To do that, we'll create a function that will work this out for us, over in the level factory script as a public function. With our main behavior written, next we need a way of changing the living fire's state from other scripts. So return to the fire script and add the following public access function. We will also need a small function to scare the fires when the player picks up a hammer. And of course, last but not least, we need to hook up all our newly created behavior functions behind our state logic in the update function. We now have our object created, the behavior written and set up. Last but not least for our little guys is coding a way for them to actually spawn into the world. This will be done just like everything else from within the level factory script. There's only a few variables the living fire needs in the level factory. Let's add them now. Now we're ready to code our fire spawn function. When we first spawn a fire, we check to see if we should scare it. But what about the fires that already exist? Here we'll create a function that will loop through our fires and scare them. And just like some of our other objects, we need a way to delete and remove the fires. Now uncomment the fire spawn call inside the onTriggerEnter2D function in the barrel script. And finally, make sure to assign your fire prefab to your asset variable in the main camera's level factory component. Congratulations! You've finished Chapter 5. If you've done everything correctly, you should now be able to save, compile, and run your project. Playtest your game, and when an explosive barrel touches a crab hole, a new crab is born to chase down the player.